New fallout as podcast host and Trump ally Steve Bannon floated this idea of President Trump running for a third term during an interview with NewsNation's Chris Cuomo.
I am a firm believer that President Trump will run and win again in 2028. So I've already endorsed President Trump. A man like this comes along once every century if we're lucky. We've got him now. He's on fire, and I'm a huge supporter. Want to see him again in 2028.
Okay, let's do a deep dive on this one, shall we? Let's bring in Richard Painter, who is the former chief White House ethics lawyer under President George W. Bush. Richard, good morning to you. Thanks for being with me. Steve Bannon says that with a whole lot of confidence, sir. That would obviously require changing the Constitution. First, just your response to it.
Well, they can go ahead and try and change the Constitution, and they're going to need to have an amendment pass Congress and get 3/4 of the states to approve it. I don't see that happening. And if they don't amend the Constitution, he doesn't get a third term. That's just the way it works. And there's been too much rhetoric floating around about how President Trump is somehow different, has more powers than other presidents. The Supreme Court of the United States has already given him enough latitude by saying that a president cannot be criminally charged for his conduct in office. But we can't have President Trump, for example, flouting the orders of the U.S. Supreme Court. No president could do that. That's very clear. And it's also very clear that a president can't have a third term.
We've seen just how much has changed under the first 2 months of this second Trump administration. Is it crazy to think that we could be talking about constitutional changes within the next 4 years?
I just don't see the states ratifying it. There's a reason we have limited presidents to 2 terms since the 1950s. President Roosevelt was elected 4 times in a row, and he was a very great president during the Great Depression and the Second World War. But there was a fear that if you had one man who kept getting himself elected over and over again and using the power of the presidency to do that, that we would end up with a dictator, and that's not the way a democracy works. So we've had term limits on the president for 2 terms, and that's the way it works. They can try to amend the Constitution. I just don't see that happening.
What about, let me float this one out for you, Richard. Politico just a few weeks ago suggested that one option would be President Trump to run as vice president, with the main candidate agreeing, I guess behind the scenes maybe, to resign on day 1. How possible would that scenario be in your mind?
Well, they can go ahead and try it. First, I don't think the American people are going to accept that. President Trump was elected for a whole lot of different reasons, and it isn't that the majority of the American people are in love with his personality. I think that a lot of American voters are becoming very frustrated with what's going on. There was dysfunction in the Democratic Party with respect to who the candidate was going to be, and Joe Biden trying to hold on way longer than he should have. And there was some agreement with some of Donald Trump's policies, which are simply the policies of the Republican Party. So they could try that type of trick, but it sounds too similar to what Vladimir Putin did when there were term limits under the Russian Constitution, where he ran a straw man for a president for 1 term, and he was really running the country, and then he changed the Constitution, and now they've been stuck with him for 20 years. I don't think the United States wants to run like Putin's Russia, and I don't think the vast majority of Republicans want that. They have plenty of good politicians in the Republican Party who they can run for president. And if they can't, they're a pretty dysfunctional party.
Yeah, I know President Trump joked about running for a 3rd or even a 4th term at a rally back in January, but later clarified that quote by saying, no, it will be to serve twice. So some people just wondering if this is, Steve Bannon just trying to rile people up. We'll see where this all takes us. Richard Painter, a pleasure to have you on the show this morning, sir. Thank you. Thanks for watching, everybody. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. Also, don't forget to click that red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.